All right, now let's take a look at this example here. Now these are interesting because these are repeating decimals, right? And so we have this 0.5555555. This is 1.975975, and just keeps going. And so how do we write these as a fraction? So we can use infinite series to, and the formula, right? If it's an infinite geometric series, we could use it and it converges, right? Then we can write this as a fraction. So let's take part A. Let's take this repeating 0.5, write this 0.555 and on. And so we can rewrite this as what? This is right? It's going to be what? 5/10 plus 5/100 plus 5/1000 and so on, right? So in this case here, we know that the first term is 5/10. And R is equal to what? Well, you're just multiplying by 1/10, right? You're just dividing by 10, if you will. So so R here is just 1/10. Because you go from a tenth here, 100th, 1,000th. So it looks like you're multiplying each term by 1/10. Now you can easily find that by just dividing two of the terms. So take this term and divide it by this term. So take 5/100ths divided by 5/10ths, you'll get 1/10. Or take 5/1000ths and divide it by 5/100ths and you'll get the same thing, 1/10. So now we know that this is a convergent series because the absolute value of R is less than 1. So S is going to be what? It's going to be A sub 1 over 1 minus R. And A sub 1 is 5/10. And it's going to be 1 minus 1/10, which is going to be 5/10 over 9/10. And this becomes 5/9, and that's the answer. So the cool thing is if you take 5/9 in your calculator and hit enter, you'll get 0.5555 repeating. All right, cool. Now, what about part B? Looks a little bit more complicated, but let's break it down. So let's write this 1.975 all right, so this is going to equal what? 1. So the first term is 1, and then we're just going to have 975 repeating. Hold on, let me double check to make sure I have this right. I was going to actually then do different wrong. So the 9 is not repeating. That one. So the 7/5 is just repeating. Oops, let me do that. So in this case here, the 7/5 is the only part that's repeating, so we got the 1.9. So let's do the 1.9 first, because that's not repeating. So we could write this as a 1.9. We could write that 1.9 as 19 divided by 10. So 19/10. Okay? And then add the 75, now this is going to be 75 what? 75 thousandths, because the 5 is in the thousandths place. So it's going to be 75 thousandths, right? And then the next 75, which is going to be here, right? It just keeps going on and on and on. The next 75 is going to be in the hundred thousandths, right? So it'll be 75 hundred thousandths. And it keeps on going like that. Now, in this case here, our first term, A1, is going to be 19 tenths. Our ratio, okay, so now, in this case here, how is our ratio changing? Well, that first term so in this case here, we've got this, but then here it starts to go up by what? The common ratio is going to be 1 over 100, right? The reason why you can see that is because you keep adding 2 zeros, right? To go from here to here, and to go from here to here, you're adding 2 zeros, okay? Now the issue is with this first term. Notice this first term here doesn't quite work with these, right? This is not, if you divide these two, you're not going to get the same result as if you divide these two or the next two, because these are the same. So if you divide these two, you're going to get 1 over 100. If you divide the next two, 75 over 10 million, you're going to get the same thing. But if you divide these two, you're not going to get the same result. So this part here, right, so what we notice is from this term on, this represents a geometric series. So what we're going to do is we're going to use what we know on this part, and then we'll add this part at the end. Okay? Sometimes that's what you have to do. Okay? So in this case here, we would not use A1 as 19 over 10. That would be problematic because it doesn't fit the definition. Right? So in this case here, we're going to use A1 is 75 over 1,000. And the common ratio is 1 over 100. And so now what we want to do is we want to use our formula to find the fraction, to write the sum, write it as a fraction, and then we'll add the 19 tenths to it. So here, we'll do it right here. So S equals what? It's going to be A sub 1, so 75 over 1,000 over 1 minus 100, 1 over 100. And so this is going to be 75 over 1,000. And this is going to be divided by 99 over 100. And then if we simplify this, we get what? 75 over 990. So 75 over 1,000 times 100 over 99. And so 100 will cancel with these two zeros, right? 100 goes into 1,000 10 times. And so we end up with 75 over 990, and that reduces to 5 over 66. And now we're almost done, because now all we have to do is take the 5 over 66. Let's do it up here. So we take the 5 over 66 and just add the 19 tenths. And when we do that, we get 326 over 165. And there you go. Not bad.